Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Danielle Fisher, and I'm the event manager here at Eco Canada. And today's session is called Elevate Your Understanding with Management Systems, High-Level Insights into ISO Standards. Before we start, I would like to take a moment to recognize the traditional Indigenous lands where Eco Canada's office is based in Calgary. At Eco Canada, we're committed to working towards respectful acknowledgement, collaboration, and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples across Canada. This starts with acknowledging our honor and privilege to live and work within the Treaty 7 territory. Today, we are presenting from the city of Calgary, home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We would also like to take this time to acknowledge traditional territories and oral practices of the Niitsitapi, home of the Blackfoot Confederacy, which includes the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, and the Tsuut'ina, Goodstoney, which include the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. Before we start, there are a few housekeeping guidelines for today's session to ensure that everyone can enjoy and participate effectively. All participants are muted, so please check your audio settings to ensure that you can hear us properly. If you're experiencing any technical issues, please use the question box and select Eco Canada, the organizer, and I will do all that I can to resolve the issue. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be made available on demand to you within the next 24 hours. Everyone who registered for the webinar will receive an email with a link to the video after the webinar has rendered. Any questions that you have about the presentation or today's topic can be submitted through the chat box or question box. We will have dedicated time during the presentation to answer any questions from the audience. And finally, we really want to know what you think about our webinars and how we can keep improving. You'll be sent a short survey after the webinar ends. Please let us know what you think or if you have any comments or suggestions about the webinar. Eco Canada's vision is to build the world's leading environmental workforce. Eco Canada seeks to help environmental workers succeed at each journey of their career. To do this, Eco Canada has developed programs tailored to individuals at different stages of their career. For those looking to enter the environmental workforce, Eco Canada provides training through the BEAR program and accreditation for environmental programs at post-secondary institutions. Eco Canada also provides opportunities for new workers to break into the environmental sector through wage funding for co-op students and recent post-secondary graduates. For those already employed as environmental workers, Eco Canada provides the environmental professional and environmental professional in training EPT certifications and EPT students. Lastly, Eco Canada provides opportunities for those with vast experience as environmental workers to provide guidance and direction to Eco Canada's products and programs through advisory committees and emeritus memberships. Now I'd like to introduce you to our speaker, Cheryl Perdomo. Cheryl has an MSc Engineering Design from McMaster University, a BSc Agri-Industrial Engineering and Environmental Professional designation from Eco Canada. Cheryl is an environmental management system expert with 15 years of experience delivering sustainable solutions across the manufacturing value chain. She is driven by a passion for climate change and the environment. During her experience in the manufacturing industry, Cheryl has developed a broad understanding of process improvement while enhancing customer satisfaction. Her work has included implementing management systems from the environmental, health and safety, and quality assurance perspectives. She is now part of the Green Sky Sustainability Consulting team as a senior sustainability strategist, and along with an experienced multidisciplinary team, she has developed a new way to help organizations implement a mitigation and adaptation climate change strategy. Over to you, Cheryl.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks very much Eco Canada to have the opportunity to share our knowledge with the rest of the people that are interested in growing and brought the knowledge about the continuous improvement concepts and how that would be linked to what is environment and climate change adaptation plans, and everything will be together in order to, as the slide says, unleash unlimited potential. That's a continuous improvement concept. You will hear it, and probably you already heard about that. But it's one of the most important tools or methodologies or sometimes philosophy to improve something that we do in very frequent uh, period of time, or just to improve what the client satisfaction. So we are going to dig a little bit more into all those concepts, but at the end of the day, the beauty of this continuous improvement apply for any type of field. Could be in the um, uh, quality management system or in the manufacturing point of view, but as well, and as the webinars move forward, you will see that could be applied to the climate change as well. So on the next slide, yeah, we have our first poll.
Oh, it should drop down here. Oh, there we go. Can you see the poll, Cheryl? Can you see what has happened?
Not yet, but
Okay, so when we're asking what level of knowledge do you have of management systems, we have about 50% that are saying medium,
mhm.
34% say low, 9% say high, and 6% consider themselves an expert.
Okay, that's super interesting. Could you repeat the number for the low?
Was 34%.
34%. Perfect. And it is a very good start because this one or this presentation or this webinar, it is on the or was created in order to uh, um, bring all this knowledge for those who are starting in this world of the continuous improvement management system and so on. So for those 34%, you are in the right place. You will learn a lot during this period of 1 hour. But as well for the who consider that are an expert, it's always good to find different perspective on first how to teach what is a management system, or another type of perspective on how to apply a management system or how to start from scratch as a management system. That is sometimes one of the most difficult part of the process is how to start. If I have all this type of um, um, uh, plans, or I do have all those opportunities that I want to tackle, which one should be the best one to start. So I recommend you to, it doesn't matter if you consider that you have a very low level of management system or you are considered as an expert. I recommend you to take notes and um, do all the questions that you may have, and do this like a conversation more than just a class, because even if we feel that we are an expert, we always can learn a little bit more and from different perspectives. So without further ado, let's go to the next slide. And yeah, so um, let's start with this um, um, sentence or reflections that we have here. So we should work on our process, not the outcome of the process. Sometimes when we want to improve something, we got stuck on, okay, this result or this product, or I didn't get uh, this objective as I planned or I was presented. So um, And because of that, because we sometimes, or most of the companies, or most of the organizations that doesn't have a management system in place, sometimes we get frustrated because we focused on the outcome, on the defect, on something that it when didn't go well as planned. So what Tammy recommends, it is like, okay, something bad happened, we have a defect, we have a no compliance, we have client with low satisfaction. But let's not focus on that. Let's go one step behind or one step back, and let's analyze what is or happening in our process to that allow us to get those bad results. So as I mentioned before, on this webinar, we're going to focus on um, not only explaining what's the framework on for improving our process, but as well, what are the actionable strategies to elevate the approach to the management in line with international standards like the ISO. Okay, and the next slide. Okay, we have um, the agenda. So in this hour, we are going to go to this uh, five, six items. First, we are going to cover what is the systematic approach. After that, we are going to talk about what is the continuous improvement cycle. And after that is when we are going to define why or what is a management system and why we need it, and how the management system could help us to improve our process. When we understand the basics, after that, we can move forward and start digging a little bit more on what is ISO standards and what they have this international benchmarking for implementing a management system. And after that, of course, when you have all the knowledge, all the opportunities, all the concepts already in your mind, okay, but how you transform the theory in practical and actionable plans or actions. Okay, so and in between, as Daniel explained before, we will have some Q&A sessions or breaks where you can drop your question there, and so we can transform this in a conversation more than a class. The next slide, please. All right. So first, let's define what is a systematic approach. So first of all, if we decided to um, change the strategy of this webinar, sometimes people decide to start defining what is a management system. But in this case, I prefer to go to the roots or to the main concept before defining what is a management system. So when we go to the definition of a management system, you will remember this topic. That is a systematic approach. So the management system follows different principles. One such principle is a systematic approach, which determines the identification, understanding, and management of a system of interrelated processes. So it refers to a methodological and organized way of approaching a task or a problem. When we say problem, not necessarily is something bad. It's something that we need to resolve. And it involves the following set of steps or procedures to ensure consistency. That word is super important, the consistency, reliability, and efficiency in achieving desired outcomes. From this concept, there are a couple of words that I would like you to remember. First, consistency, and that's why part of the management system that we will define later, one of the most important part is the documentation. let's say that you will like to prepare, I don't know, whatever, a pizza. And the first time that you did it probably won't be the best result. But during the time, you will be improving your skill to prepare whatever, the pizza, as an example. When at the end of the couple of trials, you identify that you actually got the result you want, what you're going to do the next time that you do it. The next time you will do it as the best result that you got in the past. And what is the recommended? It is recommended to take notes of what you did, because after a week, after, I don't know, probably the next month, you want to make this repeatable. And that's why it's very important to document all our results or our experience, so we can make sure that the next time your process will get the expected results. And not only for you, will be as well for other people that would like to get the same quality of the pizza. That's the one. That's the first one, consistency. And the second word that I would like to um, you to remember is efficiency. So every time that we need to rework, every time that we need to um, revisit a process because it is not performing as it should be, or every time that we need to fix something, or every time that we need to take one of the results, could be physical or information related, and create other process to fix that, we are losing time, money, resources, and others. Which means that our efficiency to create the same result, it is going lower and lower and lower again. One of the benefits of the systematic approach, it is that we are going to increase our efficiency because we are supporting our experience, we are documenting our experience, and we are making sure that the process is consistent to get the same result with the same quality. Okay, so then the next slide, we see three items that defined or are very, very important when we consider a systematic approach. So first, it's rules-based approach, the process based on the application of clear and predetermined and repeatable steps. That's very related to consistency. If we say that we are going to do this process, or we are going to get this outcome, we need to make sure that the step by step are documented, and we need to respect the order of those steps because we want to get this outcome as planned. And as we are going to talk this later, when I say that outcome could be something like, I don't know, in manufacturing, we could be, I don't know, probably the production of a cell phone, but not necessarily, or it is very easy to imagine manufacturing and assembly of a company. But we need to remember that the systematic approach not only applies for something physical, something touchable, something that you can sample. It is as well related to a service. And that's why, as we are going to talk later, um, when we talk about quality, we not only talk about quality of product, but the service as well. So the service or the process to provide a service as well should be taken into account what is a systematic approach. The second one, it is the inputs and outputs. We need to consider that the systematic approach, we have some steps to get an outcome, but we need to consider that we have the inputs as well that feed the system before the transformation started. And on the third concept, or the third item, we need to identify the directions or goals of the company, action plan, how to achieve goals, predictable results. So those are three items. They are not in a specific order, so they need to. Um, they are number 1, 2, 3, but they need to work together. It doesn't mean that the input is more important than the outcomes. The rule-based approach is more important than the inputs and the outputs. No, they all together create what is a systematic approach. Of course, the direction of the goal, it I would say is where we start, because if we don't understand where or what is the goal of our company, or let's say not the company, the your personal project, your the project that you are managing right now at your company. If you don't have a goal, an objective clearly defined, so it doesn't matter if you have the best plan ever. Um, uh, the outcome will relate to the how you set this goal. So even there is no order into the specific definition of systematic approach, the goal should be well defined before starting any um, any project or any strategy towards climate change, environment, quality, or any type of system that you want to create. Okay, so let's move to the next slide that I believe is a video.
Well, a management system is all about how you perform work. An organisation could rely on people or procedures or a full-blown ISO management system. Only you can decide what is suitable for your organisation.
Okay, a management system just isn't a lot of documentation representing processes, etc. A management system is your form of assurance. How can you repeat day in and day out to get the outcomes that your stakeholders expect of you? But more importantly, it's actually building that management system so you understand what's required today and into the future. And finally, a management system should reflect a plan, do, check and act approach to business. So many organisations do the plan and the do, but often skimp on the check and the act. That's a leadership decision, and through structured change we can show you how to implement a management system effectively.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, Daniel, just to confirm, are we sharing again the slides? Okay, we are back. Perfect. Thank you so much. So yes, with that video, that gentleman mentioned the plan, do, check, and act. And what it is that PDCA cycle, or the plan, do, check, and act. So it is called as well the Deming cycle. Could be or PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, and act, or the continuous improvement cycle. So it has a different definitions, but or names, but at the end of the day is a form or to describe and explain how the processes could be improved. So it started as mainly focused on what's a manufacturing process, and in the concept or the philosophy of this, it is that we need to focus on improving the manufacturing process, as the beginning was only focused on manufacturing, instead of worrying about cutting cost. So when we in the manufacturing world or in any kind of type of organizations, we always try to be more effective, and in terms of money, how we can increase our profits, but at the same time, what is the strategy behind that? Sometimes organizations, what they or the first answer would be, okay, let's cut costs. But the philosophy of the PDCA cycle, it is, okay, let's continuously improve instead of worrying about cutting cost, because the saving will come eventually and in a more solid way than just cutting cost. Because if the process is performed correctly, the cost should drop as a result of improving the quality of the output. So this concept, it is very antique. Well, not super antique, but it started when Deming, the creator of this, traveled to Japan to teach his method after the World War II, increasing the country's productivity and contributing to its economy rise. So when they realized that this method helps a country to um, to improve, so why not applying for other type of organizations, like less complex, like than a country? And that started to be successful on different type of companies. Of course, the Toyota one was one of the main ones to start this PDCA cycle. So this cycle, it has, as you see in the slide, have four steps. The cycle begins with the plan step. This involves identifying a goal or purpose, formulating the theory, defining success metric, and putting a plan into action. So basically it is what you're going to get or what you want to get, what are you going to do to get it, what are the resources that you have to get those results, and after on the second step, so you will be um, executing the components of the plan that should be implemented, such like implementing or producing a product, producing or providing a service, or doing some changes in your steps, or the steps of your production chain, or whatever you plan to achieve. So next comes the check step, where the outcomes are monitored to test the validity of the plan for signs of progress or success, or the opposite, the problems or areas for improvement. So basically on the check, you are going to construct the plan is actually driving me to the result that I planned. If yes, perfect. Let's continue. If not, so we have another step, that is act. The act step closes the cycle, integrating the learning generated from the entire process, which can be used as, for example, adjusting the goal, changing the method, or reformulating the plan. Okay, so let's move to the next slide, that I think is a Q&A break. Yes, if you have any question, so I will be more than happy to answer.
It doesn't look like we have any questions right now. We'll give it a
Okay.
few more seconds and then we can move on. But there will be another dedicated time in the webinar.
Yes, yes. We would like to do it like this because sometimes when we leave all the questions at the end, all the questions pile up. So we would like to cover what we have learned so far, um, or if you have questions so far. So not necessarily could be Q&A. You can share any of your experience. For the people that are experienced on the management system, what do you think it is? Okay, this is good. This is helping me, or completely opposite. That is acceptable as well. It is complicated. How you feel about the management system? If you can share, that would be great.
Okay, so we'll move on and hopefully we'll pick up some of those questions in the next break.
Of course. Perfect. Okay, so now what we have learned so far. First, systematic approach. The second, it is the PDCI cycle, what it is. And now I think we are ready to go a little bit deeper on what is a system and what is a management system. What is a system? And I'm not talking about management system, just the word system. So system is a group of interacting or interrelated elements that act accordingly a set of rules that uh, unified, they act as a whole. And the characteristic of the system, it is surrounded and influenced by its environment, and of course is defined or described by its boundaries, structures, and purposes. Three concepts here: boundaries, structure, and purpose. And all those elements work together to get those three, or to create those three concepts. Of course, the boundary, because the scope of that system should have boundaries, or to analyze and see how the environment will affect the system, have a structure, and have a purpose. So, with that concept, we can go to analyze or understand what is a management system. Well, a management system is a way which an organization manages and all those interrelated parts of its business in order to achieve objectives. And of course, any organization will have boundaries, structures, and purpose. Okay, on the next slide will be it is sharing what are the management system uh, opportunities or benefits from it. So, if we can start with the organizational level, first we see the leadership, because if we have boundaries, structures, and purpose, of course we need someone or a group of people that have the leadership, and in order to lead us of what is a strategic plan. Um, of course, it is the leadership. It's a very broad concept, but the management system. It one of the main or most important part is the leadership, and of course, because it not only will guide us into what are the focus of the objectives, and so we can have the outcomes that we would like, that most of the time are the revenue generation. The management system ensures that there are multiple balanced objectives which serve as elements of business from customer to shareholders. So the quality approach also assures that the better performance with all-around assessment of risk, security, health, and environment. A good management system plays a major role on understanding the market. That it is another benefits of the management system. So the management system help to conducting any type of assessment to create an actual perspective of what should be our objectives. Of course, we have something that it's called the systematic approach toward the risk and opportunity. It is vital to encourage all the employees to address and work towards the benefit from both risk and opportunity. As the time passes, the customer needs changes, and employees have to work differentially towards that absolute satisfaction. So, something that, as an example from the pandemic or the pandemic situation, it is that we understood that um, the organizations that could recover faster and understood the changes in the behavior of the customer clients are the ones who could um, successfully recover faster than others based on the management system or based on the all the systematic approach, because the systematic approach into the management system not only allow us to first, as I mentioned before, good leadership, trying to balance what is definitely a goal. Sometimes organizations put as a goal just a revenue and but forget about what the customer satisfaction, the health, the environment. So those companies that understood that they needed to balance all the goals, understanding that client satisfaction as an input, and understanding that a system it is has their boundaries, but of course they have some they are affected by the environment, and environment is anything that is outside, like for example regulation, stakeholders, and any other type of context could have a positive or negative impact into their performance. So the management system with uh, the systematic approach allow to recover fast from changes. That is on the organizational level. But what about in the operational level? So, so on the of course, on the operational level, that will help us to uh, manage the specific projects in a better way. We will have evidence-based decision, because on the system on the management system, not only you need to create a plan, you do what you need to do, but you need to check. And how do you check? Could be with statistical tools, could be with different type of service or different type of methodology that help you to actually understand what's going on in your organization or what's going on with the result of your project. And with that result, you can have a better decisions or better decision making on your operations and your company level. And of course, you will improve your efficiency. And we have again the concept of consistency. And from that consistency and being repeating and getting the same outcome because you are doing your process in the same way. So at some point, you will be the expert in creating the best practices of how to provide a service or how to produce a product. Okay, so on the next slide, I think we have video number 2.
Making workplaces more efficient is a huge subject, with many philosophies trying to find the best approach. But what is the one concept that unites them all? The answer is continuous improvement. A continuous improvement strategy is a system that helps keep the focus on improving the way things are done on a regular basis. This could be through small, incremental improvements, or by focusing on achieving larger process improvements. Businesses that actively seek continuous improvement opportunities will have a much better chance at generating more value over time for both the customer and workers. Continuous improvement is an umbrella term that encompasses many methodologies. The first method on our list is the helpful concept of plan, do, check, act, or PDCA. This is a cyclical process that continuously cycles through the 4 steps of improvement. In the planning phase, teams must measure current standards, brainstorm ideas for improvements, set objectives, and create the plan of action. Next, the team must implement the plan that was created in the first step. This includes not only changing existing procedures, but also adding training and support to accompany the changes. After implementing any changes, it's time to evaluate any improvements. The results must be analyzed, and any corrective or preventative actions must be planned to achieve the desired changes. Finally, all of the existing data from the change is then analyzed by management teams to determine if the change will become permanent or if further adjustments are needed. The next continuous improvement method on our list is
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So are we sharing the screen? Yes, it's coming. Perfect. Okay, so now we know what is a systematic approach. We know what is the PDCA cycle and how all those concepts create the new concept that we are defining, that is a management system. So the next question, or the next topic that I would like to touch here, it is the ISO standard, or the management system and high-level structure. And ISO, as you probably heard about this, is it stands for International Organization for Standardization. And basically, this is an independent and non-governmental international organization that brings global experts together to agree on the best way to do things. Things could be the quality, the environment, the climate change, the management of the energy. Okay. So on the screen, you'll see what are the high-level structure. And we have context of the organization, we have leadership, we have planning, we have support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. Something that I really like about this type of standard, it is that it doesn't matter if you want to implement a quality management system or an environmental management system. They're all structured on the same way. And why is that? Because we have organizations that you don't only need a quality management system, you need safety, you need safety and health, you need environment or the energy. So that is set up on this same chapters or high level structure in order to combine and integrate any type of management system that you want to implement. So on the next slide, it is you will see this is taken from the ISO 9001, that is the quality management system, but you will show that it's a systematic representation of all the elements of the organization as a process. It doesn't matter what is the type of organization, could be or generating a product, providing a service. All type of organization can be represented as a process. And why? Because any type of organization will be receiving inputs, hard or soft. You will have processing activities, and you will have output and expected results. On the right side, the slide, you will see how the chapters of the ISO standard are in the systematic that follow the PDCI cycle. Even if it's taken from the 9001, all the standards follow the same structure, which make it easy to integrate each other, as I mentioned before. So something that it's very important here that we've mentioned before during the definition of a system. We mentioned something about how the system has their boundaries, but as well need to take into account all the information on the environment, how the environment impacts the system. So same process or the same concept, we have the representation here. On the square, we have the boundaries, but in this arrow, you will see on the arrow on the left that it says number 4. It talks about the organization and its context. And what is context? It's the environment. The environment, the internal and external factors that could impact our system. And we need to take the information from them so the system could work and plan accordingly those risks and opportunities. Okay, so I think we can go to the next Q&A.
Okay, so we do have a couple questions. The first one is, how can an organization effectively integrate a multiple ISO management system, for example, 9001, 14001, and 45001, into a cohesive and streamlined approach?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a very good question. And before, it was, and I said before, probably before 2015, of course, as everything have an evolution. And before the version of the ISO standard, for example, the 9001, not every ISO, but most of them have different structures until ISO as an organization understood the need of an organization to integrate effectively every or all the types of management systems. And that's why they created this high-level structure where every single management system can consider all the chapters at the same time. What could change? Of course, the type of objectives. Your objective from quality will be different from environment, and the environment will be different from energy. But the way on how you approach those objectives will be the same and the same structure. That is the theory. But if I could share one of my experience on the manufacturing, I don't know if your question, what type of organization or field you are referring to, or you are involved with, but I think the example may apply. So this organization where I was working for, they were evolving from having 9001 and integrating the environment one. There was a different types of strategies, but one and the main one was how to get the leadership involved. The leadership, it is one of the main, could be pros or cons in the implementation of ISO standard or a new management system, or not even a management system, any type of project, any change that you want to implement. So if your leadership level is aligned in how important is the integration of your system, so the process will be easier and smoother. So just to answer your question, so the ISO standard is designed to easily integrate all type of management systems, but internally your focus will be on the leadership. If your leadership is supporting this change, you have halfway through all the process. If not, so let's start with some trainings and awareness sessions so you could improve or be more effective on this implementation. I don't know if that answered your question. Hope so. And if not, at the end of the presentation, you will have my contact, my direct contact, and we can discuss more.
Wonderful. Okay, I think we have to move on. So we'll go to the next slide. Is that okay, Cheryl?
That's okay. And I think this is the second poll.
Okay. Perfect. Let me just drop that. Okay, so it looks like we have for does your organization have any type of management system implemented? 52% said yes, 30% said I don't know, and 17% said no.
Okay, that's a very interesting trend. And yes, so mostly most of the organizations are understanding that they need this as a support. Of course, it is not, most of the time it's not mandatory, but if we consider what the clients and customers are preferring, so I would say that it's not mandatory because no, it's not on the law. But if you want to become considered as a competitive, organizations are considering this as a plus in the way to compete with other organizations of the same field. Perfect. Thank you so much. On the next slide, we see where and how to start. Very important part of the training. So so yes, so let's start with your business, your process. First, it is switching your mind in saying this business is this product. Switch your mind in creating the step-by-step of the process you need to create or go through before your product or getting your product or providing the service. Now, the second one, it is the context of the organization. So on the context of the organization, I would like you to think as a homework, it is why. When you answer the question why, you are digging and very deep into first, why, what are your stakeholders? What are the laws and regulations that you wanted to fulfill and how that affect your organization? And why? Because first, you need to, for example, um, don't have any compliance under, or you want to make sure that you're in compliance with all the rules and the regulation. But as well, why? Oh, because you want to be competitive. So you need to start hearing your stakeholders, and one of your stakeholders could be your client. But as well, another stakeholder you need to hear is your employees. Number three, it is leadership. How is the leadership engaged with the management system? And four, start your PDCA cycle. But you cannot start your PDCA cycle before you understand that your business is a process. Understand that the context of the organization, what are internal and external factors that impact your organization. Third, the leadership, and after you start doing your PDCA cycle. Okay, and the next slide. I'm gonna skip that and go to the next one because I want to reflect on this. Sometimes people say, I don't like management system because it is a lot of work or it doesn't resolve my problems. So on this slide, you will see that the management system is actually the wheel or the nut that hold the wheel. But that doesn't guarantee that your result will be 100% satisfied. Why? Because on the car that you are driving, even the nut that hold the wheel is super important. The actual that is affecting the effectiveness of your transportation is the driver. And who is the driver? The leadership of your organization. In the next slide, we see another example of the leadership approach. As a system, as you remember, we have different parts that work together. But if we don't have this leadership approach that is very important for the management system, you will see like the ants that you see on the left. Everybody doing their work, but without any goal. But when we have a management system that is properly managed with a leadership approach, all those resources and all those efforts, actually it's going to get a route and what to follow. Okay? I think we can go to the poll number 3.
Oh, wow. It's going back and forth. It's almost there. Very interesting. So we have 57% at yes and 43% at no.
Oh, that's so interesting. So interesting, and why I wanted to have this poll at the end, because um, most of the management systems are, when we think about management system or the experts of a management system think about this tool or this methodology or this philosophy, it is more like related to quality or to environment. But about the climate change, it is something that I wouldn't say is new, but in recent years, it's been more popular, but it still is not known by like a huge portion of the of the people of the organizations. And I would like to invite you to next week webinar, because we are going to integrate everything that we've learned about management system. But now we are going to start talking about this management system in the climate action. That is not only the mitigation, that is the first thing that we think about, but as well into the adaptation. Okay, so I think that is my last slide, but I would like to open for more Q&A, or if you want to share your experience about management system, or if you have experience with a management system related to climate change, I would like to hear that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cheryl. That was so insightful. We do have a question I thought we could end on. And this question is, how can organizations establish a risk-based thinking framework to proactively identify, assess, and mitigate risks within management systems?
Excellent question. Excellent questions. And that is something that was updated into the new management system. So before, the terminology risks, it wasn't quite there. When in the last, I'm just speaking for the 9001, the quality management system, was updated in the new version, they started talking about the risks and opportunities and how the organization could manage those. The thing about the ISO standard is that they tell you what, but the organization, they need to define the how. So that's why the answer I'm gonna say right now, it is not like the the answer for all of organizations. So I'm just gonna share the experience that I had. What I did on my previous experience was creating a template or an Excel file, whatever you want to use, and start hearing your stakeholders. What are your objectives, or what are the needs? And after, with help with expert, that could be internal or external, we started brainstorming what could be the risks of our organization to not fulfilling that need. After that, after brainstorming, we created just sessions to understand if that items that we identify was actually real, or trying to balance the risks. Of course, you have a different type of methodology. You have the probability and the impact, for example, the table. And we finally defined what are the risks for accomplish those stakeholder needs. Of course, after that, we created an action plan to make sure that those risks, or the risks that we identify as a higher risks, were managed in an action plan, were defined where it was responsible, dates, and what's the goal that we need to fulfill. So that is one of the ways that you could approach the risks, but not forget about the opportunities. Try to manage all risk and opportunity at the same time. But yeah, that is one of the ways that you could approach that.
Wonderful. I think that's all the time we have for today. I just wanted to remind everyone that this webinar was recorded and it will be sent out to you after it has finished rendering. Cheryl will be back with us next week for CARMS, so please join us then and we can continue this webinar series. Thank you so much, Cheryl. It was a wonderful presentation, very knowledgeable, so I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Yeah.